race with him, of the fears and doubts that block our upward moving aspirations, and of the final joyous self-offerings into the light. For each one of us, we have our own path to walk, our own individual mountain to climb. Yet, in a deeper sense, we all walk the same path. And the key to all of our stories can be defined in the light of the singular tale of young Lisa, the Sun Man, and the land of golden sunshine. In the city, there was a brown walled factory with high, dusty windows on a windy street. There 100 women worked at making men's shirts. Most had worked there many years and would continue there until their eyes grew old, their faces lined and tired, grim-mouthed with disillusionment. Sometimes a young woman left to get married. Ah, how the excitement buzzed in the large room. A few even were glad for a while in the bride's good fortune. But alas, as many envied her in their shriveled hearts.
It should have been me.
Yeah, what's she got that we don't got?
Yeah.
Go figure.
And the bride, she soon settled down to another life of drudgery and dream. After a time, her happiness disappeared, and the years once more, like dry leaves in the park, flew by her, unnoticed. Each flurry of days more dusty, more brittle than the last. No one in the city was really happy. Oh, there was laughter and what sometimes among lonely people is recalled as merriment. But happiness? Ha! Go there. See for yourself. It was in this factory that Lisa worked. Lisa, 3 times visited, 3 times blessed by the Golden Sun Man. One person knows the story, an older woman in the factory. Of all of Lisa's acquaintances, this woman was her favorite. But the woman, much older now, seldom repeats the tale.
She was, after all, merely an acquaintance.
Lisa worked in the middle of the factory.
At a low table with other women, together from morning till closing time, we sew buttons on men's shirts. Buttons.
Lisa was young, simple-hearted and kind, with eyes that still knew how to smile. 2 years later,
I came to work here to support my aging mother.
Then one day, months ago, the old woman had died.
When I left for work in the morning, she was there. And then when I got home in the evening, she was gone.
That's too bad.
While I was here sewing buttons, she passed away. So now I'm all alone. Has her soul gone anywhere? Does anyone except me even care?
But the young girl, having no other focus in her life,
Worked on.
Yes, I worked on.
not really living,
After a while, hardly conscious of the drudgery.
existing from week to week for the refuge of
Each coming Sunday, when we can sleep as late as we want.
Yes, all day if we want.
And read magazines.
And watch TV. Did you see that show last Sunday? The one with the great commercial?
This forever was the best they asked of life.
Escape.
Escape every Sunday from reality. Escape into a knowing and a hazy peace that people find who have forgotten how to walk on clouds of gold. The second week in November ended. The past few days had passed in a gaunt procession of wind and icy rain. As closing time at the factory drew nearer, they thought of the day of rest ahead.
A day once more of nothingness.
A day of sleep.
The hands moved on the faded clock. At last, the sound of the bell.
5 o'clock.
100 women rose from their tables and, jostling forward, gathered up 100 shawls and coats and went home.
Goodbye.
See you Monday.
Have a nice day off.
Lisa, since her mother's death, had rented quarters in an older part of the city.
It's an inexpensive attic room. It's barely heated, with one sloping window.
Sometimes in the morning, when heavy skies, for a brief hour or two, open wide their veils and allow the sun to greet the city with a hurried warmth.
Then a shaft of sunlight, pale but very friendly, comes into my room.
And brings light for a time to Lisa's heart. The furnishings were few and old.
Though good enough for a poor girl like me, I don't really need very much. I have a rug. It's small, and it's a little worn.
Clinging fearfully to the center of the floor.
And a table that wobbles, 2 chairs, and a spring bed.
That creaked complainingly whenever Lisa, lying on it, turns to the wall to escape thoughts of
This city, the factory, this cold room, and the emptiness of all of it.
She gazed above, through the high, sloping window. Her
Into
thoughts for a moment soared into
the vast evening sky, the gathering silence of the night. She saw the silent stars through the night with their gladness. They seemed some wondrous truth to imply. Her elders all slept, but the magic of light would wake her to ponder why. The room seems different tonight. There's a strange expectancy. It's as if something were going to happen.
She climbed into bed. Night, that compassionate thief, crept stealthily over the housetops, snaring men's cares and fears in a soft net of slumber. The rain and wind, tired of their attack on the defenseless city, moved on to seek new prey in distant lands. A few bright stars peered timidly through the ragged, flapping trains of vanishing clouds. Then bolder, they came out and beckoned to their smaller sisters. Soon all joined together, laughing in a game of hide and seek, while stern, lingering vapors of clouds, their dignity affronted, gathered up their garments and hastened grimly toward the horizon. After a time rose the half-moon. Then earth and heaven, long battered by the raging storm, drank deep with a cool, revivifying light. Through the sloping window of Lisa's room, a wide ray of moonlight drenched the floor. Somewhere in the distance, a bird sang.
Oh, little bird, please keep on singing.
To the young girl, its song told a tale.
Of undying love, of shining happiness. Ah, that such fulfillment were really possible. Is pure love even possible? Is happiness? Is there anyone, anywhere on earth, to whom these ideals are more than just dreams?
A pang of yearning stabbed her heart, sharp pain bringing tears to her eyes. How long she had known this yearning. Like the notes at twilight of a lonely flute, playing on a distant hill, it had haunted her. And like great swells heaving eternally within ocean deeps, The yearning had been with her.
always.
Darkly it underlay the cresting years, the months, the endless days of her young life. Tonight, however, some subtle change.
Are not the notes of the melody dancing? It's as though the musician were playing to listening ears somewhere,
To listening thoughts.
to listening answering smiles.
The flute-like melody of yearning that she had heard so often through the years seemed laden tonight with
Some new, some special message.
what was its meaning.
Is it a message of hope? Does it hint at a shining promise?
Tonight, all at once, the young girl saw herself,
A creature of this city no longer, but a butterfly released from its cocoon.
Lightly I fly when I live in laughter. Lightly I fly when my heart sings. Lightly I fly when I live in laughter. Lightly I fly when my heart sings. Cling to the ground every heavy burden. Now I can soar up above the clouds. Cling to the ground every heavy burden. Now I can soar up above the clouds. Lightly I fly when I live in laughter. Lightly I fly when my heart
free and soaring, it seemed she joined in laughter with the comets. Leapt lightly over distant star clouds, she drank thirstily with light rays from the moon.
At fountains of eternal joy.
Sleep caught her once more and rocked her gently in cloud arms of peace. Meanwhile, the pale ray of moonlight moved slowly onward, caressed with magic fingers the shabby walls, the long used furniture, and lightly it touched the bed where Lisa lay. Lisa awoke and sat up. Glancing at her clock beside her bed, she saw
Oh, it's already late.
soon the sun would reach its zenith. Light filled the window, only slightly dimmed by a passing cloud. The room had a special feeling.
It's as if the room itself were waiting for something.
A dove flew by outside, its wing beats fading quickly away. In that mystical hush, the rustling passage seemed almost an omen. Then the cloud was gone, and the room brightened as a wide ray of sunlight poured through the sloping window. What was it today that impressed Lisa so strangely? The beams of sunlight shone with radiant, subtle power. Then, in the steady flow of light, fresh waves of radiance shimmered downward, landing in the pool of gold on the floor. In the center of that luminescence, a human form appeared. And there stood the most beautiful being Lisa had ever seen.
Are you a man? Surely. You are an angel.
Strength was softened in his eyes by an expression of compassionate love. Wisdom was sweetened by
His smile.
that hinted at whole realms of inner joy. Words seemed superfluous, but oh, her heart sang. Divine peace overwhelmed her with a refreshing, weightless waterfall. Love filled her heart almost to the point of pain. How long she remained there, she could not have told. But the sun moved the pool of light on the floor nearer and nearer, toward the spot where, with bursting heart, Lisa knelt. Gradually, she found herself encircled in the golden aureole of lucent light that surrounded him, and the sun's rays struck her full in the face. Alas, that too penetrating brilliance. Tightly she closed her eyes and quickly lowered her head. When she saw him again,
He's gone.
wildly she looked about her, but he had vanished. The sunlight had lost its magic. Her room, as poor and plain as it was before, gave no whispered echo of the melody that but moments earlier had touched it wondrously. Lisa felt at first as though stranded in a tunnel of eternal night.
Has he come so briefly, only to abandon me now forever?
But then the memory of her experience burst on her anew like a mighty wave.
But has he really abandoned me? No, for he's left with me a wonderful gift. Now I know love exists. Joy exists.
New doors of transcendent meaning seemed as if opening onto a vast universe around them.
It's as if life itself has dawned with the sun's light only today.
And though outwardly the world gave no sign of having changed,
It will never be the same again.
her bare room, humble still,
It's sweet and simple, no longer drab, but gentle, unassuming.
and as for her work in the factory,
Sewing,
humdrum as it gave her cause to think it before,
sewing buttons, why, it's good work, it's useful. In fact, it's a service. It's a way to touch the hearts of people.
for whom the city meant only loneliness. Then all at once, the thought of working there filled her with a sense of
Happiness and delight.
when, on Monday, she returned to work. Lisa's heart was floating still, wafted joyously on waves of inspiration. Her favorite acquaintance, observing Lisa, whose thoughts seemed to have flown off to distant lands, decided,
If that girl's not in love, she must be sick. Charles, I must ask you, is there some burden on your heart? Your thoughts seem so far away. Is something wrong?
but Lisa only smiled. That week, however, she thought often of the Golden Sun Man.
Oh, will he visit me again? Will he come? Or would he forsake me now? Could he be so heartless as to take away the cup from which I have now tasted love?
Sunday came at last, and with it good weather. High overhead, the sun's light was dimmed again by a faint passing cloud. The room's atmosphere seemed to thrill with a feeling of expectancy.
Something is in the air.
Quiet, vibrant, intense. The stage seemed set.
Surely this feeling means he will return.
As she gazed in eager anticipation, the cloud passed and the glorious sunlight poured through once more into her room, irradiating it at its center with a pool of lambent gold.
Yes, from this light is streaming the same mysterious power as before.
Her whole being thrilled with joy as the divine form took shape in a shaft of sunlight. And there he stood. Lisa's heart overflowed. He had returned. The Golden Sun Man had come back to her humble quarters once again. Time passed in a wordless interchange of joy. Her soul seemed ready to merge into a bliss that flowed through him, as if from some source of infinity. Then, smiling gently, he gazed as if tuned to visions of far-off, sun-drenched fields. He sang to her.
Whispering within your soul, hints of laughter, hints of joy, sweet songs of sadness, of quenchless yearning for the light, for my love, your true home. Long your as long as you seek your home in a land where all are strangers, love locks the door. Leave to the weak his craven life, to the coward leave his dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. Leave to the weak his craven life, to the coward leave his dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. Turn, turn, turn within, in silence of soul, in selfless love, find my abode.
Crystal tones, he told her of another land, a land of golden sunshine and laughter, a realm where love and joy forms the very sinews of existence. It was strange, but listening to him, Lisa felt,
I have known this land before. Has it not been mine always? Is not this land of golden sunshine but the reflected image of some far ancient memory of my own? A memory always faintly visible through nodding trees of more recent, bolder impression. A memory filled with glimpses of mountain meadows, gaily flowered with once cherished joys.
I have come in answer to your call. It was your yearning for pure happiness and for crystal love that drew me to your sad and misty world. Your tears reached out into the night, splitting the dark veil of forgetfulness. Like dew, they rained down upon our mountainsides in glistening showers of light. Tell me, how deep is your longing? Would you leave behind you, now and forever, this dungeon of lost hopes, your lonely city? Would you exchange this life for the shining freedom of my world?
Your world? Joy in exchange for sorrow? Dust for gold?
her heart fairly cried out with hope. But the pool of sunlight moving steadily across the floor bathed her suddenly anew in the same light that encircled him. Instinctively, she drew back, shamed to behold herself, mere creature of the city that she was, enhaloed in that very light which surrounded this angelic being. Glancing up to apologize, she briefly glimpsed his face. He was smiling sadly. At that moment, the sun's blaze struck her full in the eyes. Quickly, she lowered her gaze, squeezing her eyes tight. When she looked up again, he was gone.
Oh, and I didn't answer him. I didn't answer him. That sad smile. Is he disappointed in me? Oh, will he ever come again?
Self-accusation alternated with uncertainty, both combining to pollute the ecstasy that had begun to well within her. A fit of weeping seized her. It lasted the entire day. In the factory on Monday morning, Lisa gazed out the window at the sunshine disporting itself on a gray wall across the street. Persistently, the question echoed through her mind.
Has he left me now? Forever?
The words seemed a dull mockery. Slowly, the clouds gathered. By late afternoon, the sky frowned, dark and foreboding. Observing the kindred darkness in Lisa's eyes, her favorite acquaintance thought,
Well, it may be love, but maybe too it's something sinister. Something's definitely wrong with that girl.
she turned to Lisa.
Now this time, tell me, girl. Don't just look away like that. But tell me really, isn't something wrong?
And this time, though expecting to be mocked, Lisa told her tale.
Where has my love gone? Gone the nights. Now that he's left me, dimmed my delights. Ne'er have dear love friend passed she this way. Saw you his smile, oh, what did he say? Past here, my sweetheart, past here. Sweet was his promise when first we met. Whispers of heaven made me forget heartaches and labors, earth's searing pain. Rest now, he said, you found love again. Past here, my sweetheart, past here. Surely he lied not, heaven did shine, piercing the darkness, love that was mine. Could she not linger, must even he rise and depart like mist on the sea? Past here, my sweetheart, past here.
To her surprise, her acquaintance had heard tales of this man.
Others there are. I've spoken with a few who claim they've seen him, this personage. Most of them are old now, but many years ago he came to them, drifting down on a shaft of sun into their dingy rooms. Like you, they speak of how when the light encircling him struck them too in the eyes, he disappeared. It seemed like it was just a dream. I mean, I think that they were only dreaming. It's very strange, for they all dreamed the same dream.
The acquaintance paused.
A few of those old women dreamed something more. Not satisfied with merely meeting them, he spoke to each. In song-like words of some land of golden sunshine, inviting them, so it seems, to soar away with him to some distant never land. A land which he made out to be not at all alike to this our fair, or at any rate, our real, acceptable, and very normal city.
And did they go?
She had said no word of the Sun Man's invitation to her.
No, luckily for them, they stayed.
The older woman gazed about her as if wanting to affirm the rightness of her life in the city.
They were too clever to succumb. Not that far, at any rate. Years, time passed, and this personage ended his weekly visits. After all, they had obligations to their work, to their lives in the city, and to the rightful expectations of their friends and family. A few of them, I suppose, such I'm afraid is human weakness, wondered as the years passed whether by refusing him they had not been cowardly. Perhaps it was their vacillating natures which first attracted him. At any rate, the facts are clear, and anyone of sense would agree with them. It took great courage to resist what was either an idle dream or worse, a dark temptation. Ah, well, what good can there have been in their strange fantasy anyway? Uselessly they tried to speak of it, clutching at strangers' sleeves on crowded streets. Few stopped to listen, but shake the women off impatiently. Yet if not pressed for time, one person stays to hear their tale. These women only weep. Well, I'm not going to end up like them.
Did those old women do well to refuse? And if so, do I too belong to this city, and this city to me?
Gradually, the doubt grew.
Is not my duty here? What would my coworkers think if I were just to leave my job now? And wouldn't it be hard to find a replacement, especially now in November winds? And wouldn't it be cowardly to flee when all the other inhabitants of the city are willing to do their jobs and bravely facing the winter cold?
That week passed in slowly counted minutes. Wednesday, the cutting winds began again, driving across the city without mercy.
It won't be long now before the heavy snows begin.
It was such a great commercial, Jack. I don't know why.
Lisa sat numb with the cold before her little pile of work sewing buttons on men's shirts with automatic hair. Often now, thinking of that coming Sunday, she prayed with desperate longing that the sun might shine,
Oh, just once again.
that she might just once again be given the occasion to decide. But even then, she asked herself,
Even if the sun does shine, will he come?
the Sunman had said that she owed his visits to her own deep yearning for true love and happiness. Well, but surely the yearning was more intense now than ever. But then, once more, the doubt returned.
Have my feelings changed? He offered me everything my heart had ever craved, and I drew back like a stranger to it.
Was not this, her very hesitancy, proof of her rejection? At any rate, she knew that if the offer was renewed, she must decide with certainty where her life belonged.
Are pure love and happiness mine by right? Or do I owe my life to this cold, unfeeling city?
Her favorite acquaintance claimed those women had done well to turn away. But what, by remaining, had they gained?
And what, for that matter, had they given?
Sunday came. It was late and the sun was high, but this time unobscured by any cloud. Light already filled the room with a glory nigh unbearable. The girl's heart swelled as if rising a silent hymn of faith and hope. Then the heavenly figure once again took form, and there he stood. To Lisa, more than ever, he appeared divinely beautiful. Kneeling before him, the city for her ceased to exist. the miracle of his presence was all now that she knew. She felt she had been born into a wonderful, into the only true life. The Sun Man, however, smiled again sadly.
I have asked so many. Almost all have refused. Will you too, with burdened heart, turn back to your cold and lonely city? Is the power of love too great for your weak heart as well to bear?
Alas, was that it? Was it love she feared, and not the danger of betraying her duty? Considering anew her heart's dilemma, she saw now that the city cared for her not at all, was incapable of love for her, was incapable of love. How then, by leaving it, could she betray it? And what was her highest duty, if not to love itself?
Lord, I long to see thee. 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 I love thee. Let all that I know and all that I am be drowned in an ocean of pure love. No, I am no longer afraid. Love only is life. Without love, all else is death.
The sunlight enveloped her once again in a blaze of glory. But this time she welcomed it, the more so because it encircled also him. She knew now that she belonged to that light, and that light to her. That whatever was outside of it was foreign also to her. Fearlessly, she merged into the full brilliance. And the shaft of light moved on slowly across the empty floor.
Hints of laughter, hints of
time has come for us to see that there's but one reality upon the earth and high above, the truth that all was made from love, a love that calls to us to fly above the hills, above the skies, above the storms, above the pain, a land where peace and laughter reign. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways. Guide all our hopes and all our dreams, past every road that only seems, into the light, the inner sun, into the truth that we're all one. Help us to find in every hour, in every thought, in every flower, a joy that spans eternity, the truth that makes us ever free. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways. The time has come for us to see that there's but one reality upon the earth and high above, the truth that all was made from love, a love that calls to us to fly above the hills, above
sharing your blessings with us. It's been a blessing for us to share our love and devotion back towards you. I'd just like to let you know that we will keep you all in our prayers and pray that you will move ever closer to the light, and that with the blessings of Yogananda and all the great ones, all of us will get there. Have a good night.